Hey everyone, welcome back to Cheddar. Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York made some news last week when he announced a plan to legalize adult use cannabis in New York State during his State of the State address. Let's listen in.
Now, New York will do its part. We will legalize adult use recreational cannabis, joining 15 other states who've already done so. This will raise revenue and will end the overcriminalization of this product that has left so many communities of color over-policed and over-incarcerated.
And joining me now is Governor Cuomo's right-hand woman, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul of New York. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We appreciate the time.
Well, thanks for having me back on the show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. Tell us more about this plan and what will it actually look like in practice?
Well, this is long overdue, something I've been fighting for a long time. Governor Cuomo and I proposed this at least 3 years ago. And so what we're trying to do is rectify a system where we've had a failed cannabis prohibition. You think about alcohol prohibition, 1920s, didn't work. This prohibition is not working either. And unlike alcohol, this is having a disproportionate impact on communities of color. Think about the fact that in 2019, 75% of marijuana arrests were Blacks and Latinos, and they comprise only 30-some% of the population. So we've had an unjust system for so long. So we're really excited about getting this passed as part of the budget. Let's get it done. It'll raise over $300 million. We're going to set aside $100 million of this to go into a social equity fund to help make up to the communities of color that have been so affected by this, and to give them a shot at some of the licenses to start selling this. We'll regulate it properly, over 21. It's going to take some time to get up and rolling, but once we do, we'll join the other states that are finally enlightened enough to realize that this should be legalized.
And so this isn't the first year that this has been talked about, but what makes this year different?
Well, we need the money. People who were reluctant before, who didn't join us in promoting this, now all of a sudden are saying, well, I guess because of COVID, with a $15 billion budget deficit, we need to find money anywhere we can. So anticipating bringing in about $300 million will help our budget somewhat, not enough, but it'll be a start. So I think we've got some of the hearts and minds of people changing now. We also have a new Senate. And for the last couple of years, we've been adding to the diversity, the youth of our New York State Senate. I'm the president of the Senate. I look out there and I see a whole lot of more faces that look like New York State finally in New York City. So it's long overdue. People realize, how long are you not going to do this? I mean, how long are you going to punish communities of color just because of the color of their skin, where there's been far more enforcement? Whites are smoking marijuana too. Whites are ingesting too, just that they don't have the police breathing down their necks in their communities, arresting them any chance they get.
A big part of this proposal in addressing that head on as well, at least retroactively, is making sure that it's equitable. And so you mentioned $300 million and then $100 million of that going directly back into social initiatives to make sure that there is equity within this. So how does the state intend to do that? And where do some of the breakdowns, the classifications of where that money goes to of that $100 million, how does that get allocated?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's early yet. We also want to make sure that people have a shot at the retail side of it, where these are dispensed, where they're being sold. And so we want to make sure that communities of color will understand exactly what's involved in applying for these licenses as soon as they're available. First, we have to get to production. Production is going to take a little bit of time, regulate it, make sure that the quality and safety is there. That's very important to us, that we don't have any product that's on the market that's not safe. But in terms of where the money is going to go, the $100 million, we'll be listening to those communities themselves. What programs are out there for young people to get them into job training when they're college age or right after college, if they don't go to college. Let's get these money into these communities to help them right set and stop being penalized for the last few decades, as has been the case in this country.
If we may, with the time that we have left, I would be remiss if we did not talk about the vaccine rollout, especially here in the state. The state has seen rising numbers in both coronavirus cases and hospitalizations. Is the vaccine the last hope to reverse the course here, or should we be expecting tightening restrictions as well as the wait for more doses?
Right. In the meantime, you're absolutely right. We have to keep wearing the mask, keep social distancing. I mean, Joe Biden yesterday just announced a national mask mandate for anyone in public transportation across the country. Believe it or not, unlike New York, there's a lot of states that just aren't buying into this. They're still not wearing masks, and their leaders are not encouraging mask use. So something as simple as that can help us. It's going to take a long time to get that vaccine out to everybody. We are hitting communities of color because more Blacks and browns are dying from COVID, so that's a high priority. Our equity task force is focused on that. But that vaccine's critical. The only problem we have is supply. We're ready to roll. I was downstate yesterday. I was at the Aqueduct. I was on Jones Beach. I'm going down on Monday again to survey some of our other sites. We have the infrastructure, the people, we're ready to go. It's just there's not enough supply, and that's what's so maddening. So ultimately, getting 70 to 90% of the population vaccinated is going to be the only way we can declare a complete victory. But in the meantime, we have to keep getting smarter. And our numbers are looking a little better. The numbers of infections are starting to trend downward about 5-6% in New York City, which is good. Not great, but good. We're getting there.
And we've seen a lot more interest in the private sector engaging with the public sector, some big businesses offering their services. Are there certain companies, especially here in New York, where you are having those advanced talks and conversations to ensure that there is a broader element to help roll out the vaccine and make sure that the accessibility is there, even from some of the large pharmacy benefits managers that we had seen, especially in the most impacted communities?
Absolutely. And you can't just rely on people to go to their doctor. There's a lot of healthcare deserts in the hardest hit communities. So we are going out not just to the pharmacies, because not every one of these communities has a pharmacy. I've walked many of the streets in Brooklyn and the Bronx. You cannot find a pharmacy. So we go into churches, we go into NYCHA buildings, we go into places where people congregate, senior centers. And we do have vulnerable people that still need to be vaccinated. There's still, we've actually administered 96% of all the doses we've been given. So we're one of the top states in the nation in terms of getting it out there. Problem is, they're giving us 300,000 a week. Then they reduce it to 250,000. And I'm sorry, we have a population of 15 million people who are eligible, 7 million of them eligible right now. And those numbers just don't add up. So yes, the private sector has an important role to play when we have opportunities to get this into non-traditional means, not just our mass vaccination sites like the Javits Center or the sites set up by the city of New York. We have to be very micro-targeted to make sure we don't leave any communities without the availability of this life-saving vaccine.
Lieutenant Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, joining us here today. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.